From your Barbados Today newsroom, this is your evening news update. Thanks for joining us. Barbados is mounting a case against the introduction of a global minimum corporation tax that could see the island having to almost triple its current rate and lose its status as a low-tax jurisdiction. However, Minister of International Business Ronald Topping, who knocked the world's wealthier nations for the move, says Barbados will need the support of other low-tax jurisdictions, including its Caribbean neighbours, to support the fight. He made the call as he introduced the company's Economic Substance Amendment Bill 2021 in the House of Assembly this morning.
We were expecting some sort of unity in this. Barbados can't push back on this alone and get anywhere. So there's going to have to be the mountain of some serious awareness among states in similar positions so that we can all speak in a unified voice on this. This may or may not be, because it's still being decided, it may or may not be a blacklisting issue. I do not think it would be that type of issue so far. But in the past, I must say that there has not been a lot of success with trying to get to speak with their regional voice on these things.
Topping told Parliament that local authorities were not caught off guard by the pronouncement and were already working on a strategic response.
The argument that we intend to use, we have already started to use to push back on this, is precisely what I said just now, that you told us to enact economic substance. You're a creature, not mine. So in implementing this minimum global corporate tax rate, you have to give us some credit for that. You have to give us a carve out. We're calling it an economic substance carve out. You got to give us some recognition for what you tell us to do. So we're getting, they seem to be tossed in a little something saying that, yes, we recognize that. We will look at it. They're looking at it. But what it will end up being in the end is anyone's guess.
Close to 100 houses were damaged in last Wednesday's freak storm, reports Housing Minister Dr. William Duguid. During his contribution on a resolution to approve the vesting of land at White Park Road, St. Michael's to the National Housing Corporation to construct a housing development, he said 97 houses were impacted, and of these, at least 18 would have to be rebuilt. He updated the House on the assessment so far.
We have done assessments so far on 54 of those houses, 52 of those houses. And of that 52, 18 of those houses will need a total rebuild. 4 will be materials only, 7 will have minor repairs, and 23 major repairs, with 45 yet to be assessed.
Dr. Duguid said his ministry is exploring the issue of emergency housing. He says the country's housing stock will be assessed to ensure it can stand up to natural hazards.
It is a massive undertaking each and every step of the way, but it is something that we intend to wrestle to the ground. So we recognize, Mr. Speaker, that we have to tackle the housing problem. We recognize that our housing stock is not at the best. Indeed, many of the houses and the standard of the houses has deteriorated significantly. And we have to assess what can we do to make them more hurricane resilient. What can we do in the short term? What can we do in the medium term? And what do we have to do in the long term to be able to make our houses more hurricane resilient, better suited to the environment that we find ourselves in, and also more affordable for the average person.
In other news, a warning to Barbadians to leave nothing to chance as officials continue to monitor a strong tropical wave approaching the island chain. Director of the Department of Emergency Management, Carrie Hines, today urged residents to pay close attention to weather advisories from the Barbados Met Office and to take necessary precautions. Meteorologist Andre Brathwaite explains.
The Barbados Meteorological Services is closely monitoring the progress of a tropical wave located approximately 500 miles east of Barbados at 2 p.m. local standard time. There are presently no watches or warnings in effect for Barbados, but satellite imagery this afternoon indicated that the area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms associated with the tropical wave 500 miles to our east has weakened, However, moisture and instability well ahead of the axis may still generate some occasional showers and possible isolated thunderstorms tonight and into Wednesday. Total rainfall accumulations of 1 to 2 inches are possible from tonight up to Thursday. Current model analysis suggests that upper-level winds will become less favorable for tropical cyclone development over the next 24 to 36 hours. Therefore, tropical cyclone development is not expected at this time.
The family of the late photojournalist Christophe Griffith and members of the local media fraternity gathered today to mark the one-year anniversary of his death. Griffith was killed along with subcontractor Glenroy James on June 22nd last year while executing their duties at Bishop's Court Hill. Griffith's father, Sergeant Christopher Griffith, says it's been a tough time for the family.
It has been very tough for the family and myself. But one songwriter said that he will take the pain away. And it is very hard. So I just want to say a thank you to all those persons that who would have signed their wishes, those persons that who would love to be here, but sometimes they can't express that pain and that suffering that they're going through now. But God is good, and we will continue to remember him. Just like it happened just today, we will remember him because he is a part of us and he will always be a part of us.
Also present at the ceremony at Coleridge Memorial Gardens was the Association of Journalists and Media Workers, Keith Goddard.
As media workers in Barbados, we've often, in my mind, taken for granted sometimes the dangers that come with the job, even on a small island, and that the risks of the profession are real. I want us to bear in mind that our job is to report, but we must do so and excel, but be ever conscious that the threats that face us daily are very real risks. We will not allow Christophe's passing to be won in vain. And we will always remember him for his right attitude and talent he possessed.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news in Guyana, as the Civil Defense Commission CDC continues its relief efforts nationwide, flood-affected miners in Region 7 and Region 8 are set to receive assistance. Word of this from Director General of the CDC, Lieutenant Kester Craig.
We have thus far, with support from GGMC, particularly and some of the affiliated bodies, identify the communities or the areas that are impacted, the number of miners directly impacted. We've already sourced and commenced packing of the hampers. We've already made provision for an acquired vessel to start transporting, and I think as early as Monday, the first shipment of supplies will be dispatched and distributed to those miners that are affected. We're targeting the lower, middle Mazruni and upper Mazruni area, and also those miners in Region 8.
On the international front, U.S. infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci says the Delta variant of the novel coronavirus that was first found in India is the greatest threat to the United States' efforts to eradicate COVID-19 within its borders.
We are not done until we completely crush this outbreak. We seem, as was the case with B117, we seem to be following the pattern with the Delta variant, with a doubling time of about 2 weeks. If you look from the May 8th with 1.2 to 2.7 to 9.9, and as of a couple of days ago, 20.6% of the isolates are Delta. Similar to the situation in the UK, the Delta variant is currently the greatest threat in the US to our attempt to eliminate COVID-19. Good news, our vaccines are effective against the Delta variant. Conclusion, we have the tools, so let's use them and crush the outbreak. I'll hand it now over to Dr. Walensky.
We know our vaccines work against this variant. However, this variant represents a set of mutations that could lead to future mutations that evade our vaccine. And that's why it's more important than ever to get vaccinated now to stop the chain of infection, the chain of mutations that could lead to a more dangerous variant.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.